Have you ever wondered why some of the brightest kids, the ones who were ahead of their peers, praised for their intelligence and expected to achieve great things, end up feeling stuck, unmotivated? It doesn't make sense, right? These were the kids who aced tests without studying, who absorbed knowledge like a sponge, who stood out in every classroom. They were told they'd go far. And yet, somewhere along the way, something changed. Instead of thriving, many of them struggle. They feel disconnected, unable to start things, hesitant to follow through. They watch life happen. They still appear capable and sharp, but on the inside, there's a growing sense of isolation, like they're living behind an invisible wall. And there's a reason for that: the gift that became a trap. From an early age, gifted kids are told one thing over and over: you're smart. That label sticks. It becomes their identity. It's not just a compliment, it's the foundation of how they see themselves. For a while, it feels amazing. Intelligence brings praise, admiration, and even shortcuts in life. They pick things up quickly, solve problems effortlessly, and often don't have to work as hard as others. But here's the hidden danger: what gets rewarded isn't effort, it's ease. They're praised not for how hard they try, but for how effortlessly they succeed. They get an A without studying? That's impressive. They solve a problem instantly? That's intelligence. But what happens when something isn't easy? Suddenly, struggle feels like failure. If they don't understand something immediately, if they fail, if they have to put in effort, it feels like they aren't smart anymore. And that belief is a silent killer. The comfort zone that shrinks over time. To avoid the discomfort of struggle, they start playing it safe. They don't raise their hand unless they're sure. They avoid activities where they might not excel. They stick to what they know, what comes naturally, what guarantees success. While others experiment, fail, and grow, they stay within the boundaries of their comfort zone. And over time, that comfort zone gets smaller. The fear of failure starts dictating their choices. They don't try new things, they don't take risks, they don't develop the resilience that comes from failing and learning. And without realizing it, they stop growing. And when growth stops, so does connection. Why smart kids feel alone. Friendship and connection often come from shared struggles, working as a team through awkward phases together, learning through trial and error. But if a gifted child starts opting out of those experiences, they miss out on the bonding moments that form deep relationships. So they find themselves on the outside, watching but not fully participating. And yet they still crave connection. So what do? They try to intellectualize it. Instead of naturally engaging with people, they observe, analyze, and simulate interactions in their head. They develop what's known as cognitive empathy, the ability to understand emotions logically without truly feeling them. This works to an extent. They can navigate conversations, even appear charismatic, but underneath, it's exhausting. Instead of just being present with people, they're constantly calculating. Socializing becomes another performance, another thing they have to get right. And because failure feels unbearable, they start avoiding it altogether. The loneliness deepens. The final defense: I'm just different. At some point, when the isolation becomes too much, the mind comes up with a defense mechanism. I'm not lonely, I just don't relate to most people. I think too deeply for surface level friendships. Other people don't interest me. This is what psychologists call defensive arrogance, a subconscious attempt to protect oneself from the pain of rejection. Instead of admitting they feel left out, they convince themselves they're simply above it all. But deep down, they don't want to be above it. They want to connect. They just don't know how anymore. Breaking free: how to undo the trap. The good news: this isn't a life sentence. It's just a survival strategy that stopped working. And like any strategy, it can be replaced. 1. Redefine success. Stop seeing struggle as failure. Intelligence isn't about knowing, it's about learning. The most successful people aren't the ones who start smart, they're the ones who keep going even when things are hard. 2. Lean into discomfort. Challenge yourself to do things that feel unfamiliar. Take up a hobby where you're a beginner. Say yes to things even if you might fail. Growth happens at the edges of your comfort zone. 3. Reconnect emotionally. Socializing isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about shared experiences. Join things, participate, Be present instead of analyzing every interaction. 4. Let go of the smart kid identity. Intelligence is a tool, not a personality. You are more than just your intellect. Define yourself by your passions, your experiences, and your willingness to grow, not just by how easy things used to be. Because in the end, intelligence doesn't make life fulfilling. Growth, connection, and resilience do. And it's never too late to start building them. This version keeps the psychological depth but makes